It's like we're professionals.
Oh man, I wish. Hey, speaking of professionals, here's a really good intro. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and everything else, to the Brothers Game Podcast with me, Nikolai.
And me, Brian. Hello.
He's Brian, the other one. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're the brothers, and we game
That's right.
sometimes.
Sometimes.
Today we game. We're talking about video games.
That's
dang it.
right.
No,
Bringing it back.
No cartoons, none of that nonsense.
Yeah.
We're going hard. I didn't start the timer. Okay. Wow. Awkward. Welcome everyone to a 10 o'clock recording. It's late, but we're going to go crazy anyway.
That's right.
I'm feeling just fine. Just fine.
It's fine.
So I got this. I was just at the store. I was late grocery shopping, and you've heard of a Soda Stream,
Right.
correct? It carbonates water. You can add syrups and stuff.
Yeah.
They recently released like branded PepsiCo syrups.
Okay.
Like finally, right?
Yeah.
So you can get a big old bottle of just Pepsi syrup.
Huh.
Mind blowing, right? And so I've had my eye on that for a while. I'm a Pepsi guy, if you don't know, audience. And today it was finally on sale for like under $5 for the bottle. So I nabbed that, and I got like a big bottle of Polar Seltzer water, just original, unflavored.
Yeah.
So I poured that in, made a big old bottle of Pepsi. Pretty fun, pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty Pepsi-ish.
Yeah.
I'd say it's like 80% Pepsi.
Okay.
Pretty
yeah.
good.
That's not bad
Which
for
is
one
better
of those kinds of things.
than yeah, because sometimes those don't taste anything like the thing, you know? Like
Yeah.
when you buy like that Reese's peanut butter sauce or just Reese's peanut butter in a jar, it tastes nothing like
Yeah.
the actual Reese's cup.
I've never had anything that tasted like Reese's that wasn't Reese's.
For real. It's a very particular flavor. And so yeah, it's Pepsi enough. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. It's kind of unfortunate that I can't really drink soda anymore. It
It
destroys my throat.
Yeah.
It just tears it to shreds.
It was just
yeah,
all those
not
years,
good.
and it was just
Yeah.
it's wore you down or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And so, but I do love seltzer water.
Yeah, you're a big Polar head.
Yep. And
You buy big old cases of that.
and that's good anyway because there's no calories. So
Yeah, no sweeteners, nothing weird.
yeah, it's literally just fizzy water.
I fear for people who drink like 5 cans of diet soda every day.
Yeah.
They're like, it's diet, it's fine. I'm like, dude, even just the caffeine and phosphoric acid alone could
Yeah.
like mess up your teeth and like I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm like, that just seems like a bad idea. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Anyway, let's
moving
talk
on to
about
video games.
Don't you love that I was like, we're talking about video games today,
And then we talk about soda.
Immediately went into soda conversations. Pepsi is such a distinct taste, and it's just magical to me.
I was a huge
blue
Mountain Dew guy.
can, The blue can is beautiful. It's great.
I was a huge Mountain Dew guy all through high school and
Yeah, you were. I remember.
for several years later.
I was a huge flavored Mountain Dew guy.
Yeah.
I would never touch original.
Yeah. Original was my favorite, but I loved Code Red. I loved Livewire.
Red's good.
I'm
I'm
really
still
good.
a big Baja Blast fan, but you don't really care for Baja
I never
Blast.
liked Baja Blast.
I think it's amazing. But what you just said, Whiteout,
yes.
incredible.
We drank
Best
so
best
much
Mountain
of
Dew
that
flavor
stuff.
there's ever been.
Yeah.
Voltage was good.
Voltage is also good.
Also great.
But yeah, Whiteout was.
there was something special about Whiteout.
Yeah.
I personally loved Pitch Black also.
Oh, yeah.
I think
that was all right.
I think it was Pitch Black 2 specifically.
yeah.
It had this like
Yeah.
sour thing to it
Yeah.
that was really good. Anyway, good times.
Yep.
And of course, Game Fuel when that first came out with like the Halo 3 stuff on it.
Yeah.
So cool.
I think there was World of Warcraft game fuel too
Yeah, I think
at
so.
one point. Yeah.
Yeah, old school.
I also drank Vault for a while, which was Coke's answer
That was
to
cool. To like
Mountain Dew.
Surge. It was kind of Surge-ish also.
Yeah, it was kind of like the revitalization of Surge
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah, that was a cool soda. That was very like Halo 3 soda to me.
I drank it a lot.
That era.
I drank it a lot at one point as like an alternative to Mountain Dew, and then I came back. But anyway, enough about soda.
Okay. So anyway, more about soda. Okay. Video games.
I have been watching a lot of YouTube, and occasionally
But
things
about video
come
games?
across. Yes.
Okay.
Things that things come across my recommended that are like, ooh, that's interesting.
That's
And
interesting.
I've seen several video game related things as well as several Pokemon related things. There's going to be a lot of Pokemon in this episode.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
We're talking Pokemon, okay? Buckle up.
But first, so it all started with a guy taking an N64 and modding it.
Oh, cool.
He wanted to basically make a more modern N64.
Okay.
So first he like tore it down to the base board, installed the RAM upgrade, but he just like broke it down to just the actual board that has the
bits.
RAM on it,
Yeah.
and just
Like wired
connected
it
that
in,
directly.
basically. Okay.
And then he removed the video port, the video connection from the board, and soldered on a new one for HDMI output.
Just straight up
And
soldered a new
he had to
HDMI on
do,
there.
I think, like a converter board to like upscale
Yeah,
it, basically.
That makes sense, yeah.
And
I'm
he
like,
found
yeah, I don't think you could
he
just
found
do
a really
that.
good one that seems to that like actually looks really good instead of just
Sweet.
like overly smoothing everything. And then he replaced the power supply because he wanted to get rid of the big bulky brick power supply that plugs into the back and have something a little slimmer. And so he had to actually have two separate little circuit boards so that he could do 5 volt and 12 volt at the same time, or 3.3 volt, I think. And anyway, and just connect that to like I think like a laptop power supply kind of thing,
okay.
basically.
Yeah.
Anyway. And then he 3D printed a new case to put it all in.
Yeah. Thankfully with that, makes that kind of stuff really easily.
Yeah, and that was cool. He also did the same thing with a Nintendo Switch. So basically, you can mod your Switch so that you can overclock it,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
and you can overclock the video, the CPU, the memory.
And get substantially higher like
And
frames and stuff.
It seems that Nintendo is very conservative with their clock speeds,
Yes.
probably for reliability reasons and other stuff
Classic
like that.
Nintendo. Yeah.
And he did improve the cooling too, because it was going to be running hotter.
Yeah.
And so basically he
good.
put a Noctua fan in it. He created a new Switch dock with a Noctua fan in it
Nice.
to blow onto the back of the Switch. And he was able to play Tears of the Kingdom with less stuttering.
Yeah.
Now he had to have a very early rev Switch in order to pull all this off, because these mods just wouldn't have worked on a newer Switch.
Gotcha.
And he compared it to a Switch OLED, and like this blew the OLED away
yeah,
in
I
terms of
bet.
performance, because the OLED just doesn't really have much more performance.
Yeah, it's really just the screen that's
Yeah.
improved. Yeah. So if you play it docked all the time, there's like no point at all in it.
And then he also at one point he took apart an old not all that old, but a used laptop, and turned it into a just ROM playing machine, and basically made a console
Yeah.
out of it.
Nice.
Because like really, even the oldest consoles are computers.
yeah.
Technically,
Right.
like
They're just computers.
there's a reason the original Nintendo was called the Family Computer
the family
in Japan.
computer. And why a lot of old other company systems had like came with full keyboards and
Yeah.
stuff. Like, yeah.
Yeah, they were considered a type of computer,
Just a computer, yeah.
just one that was purely intended for gameplay.
Yeah.
And then they started to blur the line further with the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 generation, and then the
Which were more
successive
going for
ones.
like full entertainment system kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Because they're like, we'd play Blu-rays too. Ugh.
I remember people who would use the browser in the Wii.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, I used it a
Yeah.
couple times because it worked. I mean, it was stupid, but it worked.
Yeah.
Like typing in like click with the Wiimote, click, 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 click. Gosh, it's the worst.
Yeah.
That's the best thing about the Switch is that in handheld mode, it's also a touchscreen, so you can just type stuff really quickly.
Yeah.
If you need to do stuff like that.
One of the things I'm
putting in
asking
names
for
and stuff,
Christmas
whatever.
is basically a Switch-sized retro game emulator system because
A little handheld
I love the idea.
ROM system,
Yeah,
basically.
because right now I've got a great computer that I can play ROMs on if I want to emulate and just like sit at a desk and play. That works great for that.
Yeah. But you want on the go.
But I'd also love the option of on the go. So yeah.
And I mean, there's such a range of those now, from
Mm-hmm.
like really crappy, like made in China $20 ones,
Yeah.
all the way up until like the Steam Deck,
Yeah.
which is technically that pretty much.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was the one you were looking at? I don't even remember.
Oh.
You don't have to
A retro
something.
yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I mean, I don't know a lot of the brands that make those
Yeah.
things. There's like a million of them, I think. So, yeah. Anyway, but cool. Yeah.
So anyway, so I saw a few videos on that guy's channel.
Hacky
And
stuff.
on the same note, this guy had a crystal cartridge, a Pokemon crystal cartridge, that had like the label had been scraped
I
off.
saw this video.
Oh,
he was
yeah.
He was trying to put the ROM chip from a US one on the
Yeah.
Japanese back.
Uh-huh.
I saw that same video.
Yeah.
Because the Japanese board for Crystal is gorgeous.
Uh-huh.
It like has Suicune's Crystal like on the back of the board. Like it
Yeah.
looks so cool. So totally understandable that he'd want to use that, but in English, yeah.
But yeah, that looked pretty nerve-wracking, desoldering and then resoldering on the ROM chip and like
Yeah,
the little pins
they're
and
so
making sure
tiny.
they don't
Oh my
short
gosh.
on anything. But yeah, that was pretty cool.
Terrifying. Well, you can still talk more about it. They haven't watched it. So
Oh, okay,
if
yeah.
you want, you can go more into it.
Okay, sure. So he had an American cartridge, no label on the face, dead battery.
All busted.
And he wanted to replace the battery, but he wanted to go a step further, so he had a Japanese cartridge.
Just replace the whole board. Yeah.
Yeah, the Japanese cartridge looks cool. It has a cool design on the back. It has a really cool. Even the board looks cool, whereas the
Yeah.
board on the American one is
So
just kind
cool.
of plain looking. And so he wanted to keep all the Japanese like visuals of the cartridge, but have an American ROM so that he could play it in English.
Right.
And so he desoldered the
The
ROM
best of
chip
both worlds.
on both boards, and then soldered the American chip onto the Japanese board.
So I didn't even know ROM chip was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That there was like a specific chip on the board that housed the game data, basically.
Yeah,
It's like that makes sense, but like I never thought of it that way.
yeah,
And they're tiny, and the pins are really tiny. And you have to make sure they're individually done correctly.
yeah. The only soldering I've done is guitar electronics, and it's a lot less precise.
It's not tiny and fine work.
Yeah. It's little wires. I mean, it's fully analog is the thing with guitar electronics, unless you're working with like a onboard preamp or something. But if you've just got passive pickups without any active circuitry, it's just all analog. And so it's literally it's capacitors and usually not any resistors, although you can throw them in there to change the values. But and then you're just attaching the hot wire and the ground wire to where they need to go and just soldering them on. And yeah, so
Yeah.
pretty about as easy as soldering gets, I would say. But yeah, with digital circuits, everything's really tiny and
Real
very
small.
precise.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen people like replace the batteries in those games, and that requires a bit of soldering,
Yeah.
but it's very, one or two little things, very minimal, easy to do. But yeah, other than that, I wouldn't want to touch
Yeah.
things like that. So.
Yeah, it's like when I was taking that Xbox apart and I got that new board.
gosh, yeah.
Thankfully, I didn't have to do any of that. I literally I unscrewed it, I pulled it apart, and then I inserted the new board and I plugged everything back in. Like I didn't have to
just like
solder
putting a
anything. I
computer
didn't have
together,
to. Yeah.
Nice.
And thankfully it used screws instead of like snap together parts, so I didn't have to
Yeah.
worry about breaking anything.
Yep, those little plastic pieces that break off easily, and you're just screwed.
Like
then. Ugh.
newer Lenovo laptops
Oh, nice.
where everything is snapped together, so it's really easy to break stuff while you're taking it apart and putting it back together.
Lame, yeah.
Yep, love that.
Love that.
And then speaking of interesting Pokemon cartridges, I saw a video where a guy got a hold
Pokemon
of
cartridges.
a cartridge, the kind of cartridge that they give to stores during events to give out
yeah.
Pokemon. And so,
So
this guy,
I learned this from a video, but like basically what they did, if you went to GameStop and there was like a mythical Mew that you could only get at GameStop.
Yeah.
So what they would do is they'd have a cartridge
Yeah.
that said distribution only, not for resale, all these
Right.
things. They'd put it in a DS, like it is a DS cartridge basically.
Yeah.
In this case, I'm talking Gen 4. And that they'd turn it on, hit some stuff, and it would be sending out like a signal in the immediate area, and you could just receive the gift that way through your DS from like wireless communication. So really crazy, really,
Yeah.
really a interesting way to do that.
yeah, and so this guy showed it in real time, and he had a second. So he had two DSs, one that had the event cartridge and one that had a regular game. He had to change the time on the DS to be around when that event was going on.
2013 or whatever.
Yeah,
yeah.
And I think this was Celebi.
Okay.
And so, and he got it, and has a legitimate
It's
Celebi.
completely legitimate. It like to get it now, there is not a more legitimate way to do it.
Yeah.
Like that is it. Yeah, really funny. I've seen those for sale on eBay before. I mean, they're over $200 usually.
Yeah.
For a cartridge, which is understandable. That's quite a collector's item, actually,
Yeah.
to get a hold of something like that. So, pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. You basically have unlimited mythical event Pokemon.
Yeah.
So crazy. Yeah.
And since there's a lot of games where you can't get some of those
Some
legitimately any
mythicals
other
are
way.
impossible to get right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. Cool stuff. Yeah, I hope there's a cool distribution soon for like, older mythicals. Like when are they going to have a new event for Victini, in
Yeah.
Scarlet and Violet? That'd be so nice to get just a few of those older mythicals again.
Yeah. I was glad in yeah, so like Legends Arceus, you can get a lot of legendaries, but like you can't
Some
really
mythicals like Darkrai and stuff,
Yeah.
which are only available through like that. Like
Yeah.
some like Shaman you can get in that. That's a hard Pokemon to get.
Yeah.
Shaman. So that's really cool. I love when they do stuff like that. I'm hoping in the Indigo Disc, the new DLC, there might be a new mythical.
Yeah.
Either a new one or bringing back an older one. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
So
I found a channel called Rye Games, and he has a bunch of videos about this kind of thing, but I just saw one of them where he was exploring dead games. Basically playing online multiplayer games where there are extremely few people online.
nice. That's cool.
So he was playing this game, and I don't remember the names of most of the games he was playing.
Okay.
But there was this one where you're like in the desert and you've got like tanks and stuff, and you're shooting each other. And
Crazy.
he was playing with these two Russian guys who
Nice.
were who started showing him the ropes and just and
That's probably like their game,
yeah.
Like
And at one point, one of them just starts singing some song in Russian and he sings for a good, like, I don't know, 20 minutes or something.
Wow.
And
amazing.
yeah.
The types of people you would meet doing
Yeah.
that, dude. Oh my gosh.
And so he had a few different instances like that where he found one where it's like, oh, this is clearly there's a group of people who are all friends who all know each other,
serious about
who
this game.
play this game, and like every like Thursday or whatever they get together and they play this game, and it's a private thing. Thankfully,
it is private.
They are they were nice, and so
like,
but
"Who
they
are
were
you?"
like, who are you people?
Why are you playing this
Why are you
game?"
playing this game? How'd you even find this game?
That's so
Because
funny.
these were all games I had never heard of.
I mean, I'm amazed that the servers are on for those games.
Yeah, and so like some of these games aren't super old, but there's one called Active Worlds.
Okay.
It's been online since the early 90s.
Jeez.
I
That is
can't believe
ancient
it is
in internet
still
years.
up.
Yeah, that's absurd.
The servers are still online. And
Like, who is paying for those servers
Yeah.
to be on still?
now apparently the type of game it is, it's so like old and so has so little code running that it actually probably wouldn't take very much server resources to run.
Sure.
But even so, it's crazy to me that an online game of any kind is still being served like that. But after that long. But like it was one of those games where you can join and you can like build stuff, and that stuff stays forever
Oh, interesting.
when you build it. So he was finding stuff that was built in the 90s by players
That's cool.
and hadn't been touched probably
Dude, that's like
since.
it's an internet time capsule. That's
Yeah.
that's really cool.
And then what's
actually.
really crazy is he found a memorial to players who had died
Oh wow,
by
'Cause it's been
created
that
by other
long.
players. Yeah.
that's very cool.
And apparently,
What,
like
what an interesting community.
every
that must
few
be, yeah.
months or years, there's a reunion, and people who old players get together and just hang out on the game.
That's awesome.
That's so cool. I've never heard of it. I had no
Yeah,
idea it
what a-
existed.
Fun corner of the internet.
Yeah,
Just shows how massive the internet is.
right.
That
Yeah,
we
there-
haven't heard of such a thing.
There's so many of these little things that like only a really small number of people in the world have ever heard of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, being part of small communities is fun. There's
Mm-hmm.
like there's a special, a niche thing, the hipster thing about it almost. I
Yeah.
don't know. Yeah, that's cool.
Kind of reminds me like when I was huge into the anime Zoids all through
Yeah.
high school. And
Which was big but not huge.
yeah,
in
like I
America.
didn't really know many people besides a couple of friends that I had that
Right.
even really knew what it was.
Like clearly there was enough people that were into it because I mean they localized Zoids Battle Legends for GameCube
Mm-hmm.
and Zoids Legacy for GBA. Like there's a few Zoids games out there.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
it's
I
not a
was
super huge
a member
thing.
of a few forums dedicated
yeah,
to Zoids.
I remember.
And we would have like Zoid battles with each other.
Like forum battles.
Yeah. Or just text-based battles where we would say I do this and then I do this and just
Amazing.
role playing. So that was a thing I was very into for a couple of years there.
I mean, Zoids are sweet. I totally get it. You still have some model kits from like
Yeah.
from Japan in there in your room.
Yep.
They're pretty sick.
Yeah.
So
I'm very
I'm-
proud of my Zoid model.
I'm
kits.
more into Gundam, I would say. I really like just the designs and vibe of Gundam stuff.
Yeah.
But I have a few of those. But
I've never really gone all the way down the rabbit hole of Gundam.
yeah,
Like,
I want to more.
I got into Gundam Wing for a while there,
Yeah,
and then
great.
never really went beyond that. Mm-hmm. But
yeah, like I've seen some of Seed. I've seen some of the original.
yeah,
Like yeah.
I'm somewhat interested, but I'm also a little leery of like getting sucked into
It's
that.
a lot. Yeah, same. Like I might like it too much. Is a fear of mine.
It just
'Cause
might
it's
take
so
a lot of
cool.
my time.
Yeah, it's so cool. You know.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
And someone is doing a ROM hack of Pokemon Emerald where
No
he
way.
is
Sorry.
redesigning every map.
Every map.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he started with the starting town and he made it so you see like the tile set and then he made it 4 times bigger. And he's adding like all these little details, like I'm gonna make a path here, and I'm gonna put some flowers here. It's just like trying to add some
interesting.
depth and story, and trying to give you more reasons to be in places, more things to look at, and try. So it's very interesting because he's
That is
like
interesting.
some of the areas in the game are so one dimensional. There's so little going on that there's no reason to even look around.
It's one of the biggest problems of Pokemon to me is
Yeah.
how dead and empty the cities and towns are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that.
And so yeah, he just wants to wants to expand it and give you a reason to look at things. He wants to have areas that change throughout the game over time. And so that's been really interesting.
I love that idea. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so-
at least it's a unique ROM hack, I think. That's cool.
So the hack is called Pokemon Corundum. And the YouTube channel is Bisa.
Nice. So hey,
Is
if you guys are interested too, you can check that
Yeah.
out. But
Also, it's cool.
Yeah.
Like after his first 2 videos, he got like 1,000 subscribers like instantly.
people are like, I'm into this.
People are like, this
Yeah.
is cool. So
Yeah. I mean that kind of thing can really catch on and
Mm-hmm.
become pretty big. So that's pretty cool.
yeah.
The amount of Pokemon ROM hacks out there is just ridiculous. That just shows the passion people have though,
Yeah.
for Pokemon games. So
And it got me interested again in what I would do in one, because honestly, I probably won't ever do it
truly put in that time
because I
and
think it's
effort.
just going to be too much work. I'm just
Bit of a
probably
waste
not
of
going
time
to be
and
able to
effort
do
for
it.
you. Yeah.
But
Although if it gets really popular, you could promote this podcast with it.
there you go. So but there's a
about it.
lot of ideas that I really like, and I'm just taking liberties with everything and just going, you know what? Nothing has to be the way it is, so I can kind of change whatever I want. And I think I
That is
can
really
make some
fun.
things really good, and I'm really drilling down into details. So like playing around with types, I've talked about this. Like I really like the idea of having Onix and Geodude be pure rock type. Having some pure flying types in the game instead of
Yeah,
having
for
all
real.
flying types be normal flying.
For real.
I like the idea of having Bulbasaur's evolutionary line be pure grass,
Oh, okay.
because there's
No poison for you.
because there's only Tangela is the only pure grass type in
Right.
all
Gen
of
1? Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah. Of course, I'm thinking of later gens also.
Yeah.
I see you're probably talking about Gen 1 only,
Yeah,
though.
that
so,
well,
yeah.
and that the whole thing is a Gen 1 ROM hack, so,
Right,
yeah.
so.
And because like, and I think also about like thematic reasons for why I'm doing things. Like to me, not only are there practical reasons to do things like make Geodude and Onix pure rock type, but there's also thematic reasons. I think Onix is literally just a bunch of rocks like put together.
Yep, rock snake.
Why is he rock ground? He should be pure rock type, I think.
Yeah.
Same with Geodude. He's a floating rock
He
with
is
arms.
A rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
See, like Rhydon, rock ground makes sense.
Yep.
I feel like I like that.
I think so.
because,
I agree
because
with
I
that.
feel like Earthquake is like a signature move of Rhydon almost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but I see what you're saying with the
Yeah.
other two for sure.
I'd also probably import some. So a lot of ROM hacks for early gens like to incorporate newer Pokemon. With this one, I wouldn't
love
do
that,
that, but
but-
I would incorporate some newer moves in some cases
nice.
because a lot of
Update a few moves.
because
Yeah.
there's just such a shallow
Put Shadow Ball
move-
in, please.
Yeah, there's just such a shallow move pool, like and so
Yeah, because there's no dragon moves that
Yeah.
do any damage.
and a
Yeah.
lot of Pokemon have just terrible move sets.
Yeah.
So like with Squirtle, I think Squirtle has such a logical progression. He starts with Bubble with 20 power. Then he gets Water Gun with 40 power. Then you can get Bubble Beam with 65 power. And then you get Surf with 95.
90?
I think it's 95 and then 1. I don't remember. Anyway, it's
Don't remember
90 or
now.
95. Either way. So you've got this nice progression that goes as time goes on.
It's a really nice. Yeah.
And then with
And then there's Charmander.
yeah. And with Charmander, you get Ember with 40 power
Really
right
good
at
to
level
start.
9. So that's a
Great
strong start.
at the start.
But then nothing. Flamethrower, 95 power.
Yeah, like forever in a day away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
when does
nothing
Charizard
in
learn
between.
it? Charizard learns it at like 42 or something. I
Yeah,
feel like it's
something like that.
way too late in
Yeah.
the game. Yeah.
And then Bulbasaur isn't a lot better. You get a 35 power grass move, Vine Whip,
Mm-hmm.
at level 13. not until 13.
Yeah, insane. Just tackle until then.
Yeah. And then Razor Leaf with 55 power
So good. Razor Leaf's amazing.
at level 30.
Absurd.
Ivysaur gets at level
Like
30.
modern games almost go too far now, where it's like you get the 70 power move at like level 16.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, maybe that's a little strong.
But here's
right
the
now.
thing. So you can get Mega Punch in Mount Moon with 80 power.
Like, and you could get Dig right after
With
Cerulean,
100
which is
power.
100
And
power.
100% accuracy, too. It's obscenely
Makes
overpowered.
no sense.
So one thing I'd do, Dig would only have
That's
like
funny.
60 power.
Just cut Dig's power.
Yeah, just cut Dig's power
Yeah, okay.
almost in half. And then it gives you a reason to have Earthquake, for one thing.
True.
Because there's no difference between
Yeah.
Dig and Earthquake except that Dig is,
Takes a turn. But yeah.
But it's a turn where you're invulnerable to anything except Swift.
Right. Yep. Man, that's funny.
Yeah.
Ooh, did you know, speaking of Dig making you invulnerable,
Yeah.
up till like Gen 5 or 6, if you were a poison type Pokemon and you used the move Toxic,
Yeah.
Toxic normally has 90 accuracy, I think. Right? Badly poisons, super good move.
Yeah.
But if you're a poison type, it can't miss. Just like, Swift or whatever.
Yeah.
But like it can't miss, period.
Yeah.
Even if they are digged underground, if
Oh,
they're
wow.
flying up high, doesn't matter. Toxic will hit. Turns out that was a glitch and not really intended, so that doesn't work as of like I think Gen 7 or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was interesting.
And I'd be able to start. I would start with Sheen Poke Red, which has so many of those bug fixes.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's cool.
that would help too.
Would you try to implement the special physical split?
I'd see if I could.
Yeah.
If I could,
this
it'd
is
be
a
great.
make-believe ROM hack anyway, so
Yeah.
sure. Let's just,
it's one of those things that I would do if I could.
yeah.
So I don't know about special attack, special defense split because like the in-game menus don't have room for it.
Yeah.
So I'd have to like probably import like the in-game menus of Gen 2 or something, which is possible. I've seen
Or
that
just-
kind of thing done.
Or just
but-
make the ROM hack of Fire Red and Leaf Green instead.
Sure.
But
yeah.
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 Yeah. Although it'd be really cool if this could run on a Game Boy,
Yeah, it would
like,
be cool.
Like the ROM hack is done right in that it could actually run on a Game Boy cartridge.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty sick. So
And I would probably playing around with move, power points, and accuracy is not off the table. So I would mess with those two, because for one thing, no move should have more than like 20 power points ever.
yeah.
So like
Okay.
the fact that like Growl has like 40,
Yeah.
like no,
It's too much.
that's way too much.
Yeah. I totally see that. No, just struggle. Just
Yeah.
forget it. Yeah. But you should raise Splash's PP. It should have like 50 PP. That'd be awesome.
Infinite splash.
Infinite Splash. Good times.
Yeah. All right. So on those lines,
Yes, Pokemon.
yeah. So
I've heard of that.
just a couple other things to cover. YouTube channel Rory the Fiend did a fixing Kanto's Elite Four video where he just like changed up their teams.
Made Bruno good?
And changed up their changed up their move sets and changed their levels a little bit too. And he had some good ideas that I would consider playing around with my ROM hack if I ever did it. One thing that would be nice about like with Brock, for instance, is if Geodude and Onix were pure rock type, they wouldn't be 4 times weak to grass or water,
Yeah.
which automatically makes them less
Make it
easy for
stupid
Squirtle
easy.
and Bulbasaur without making them any harder for Charmander,
Yeah.
which is great.
Yeah.
And then I saw a video, and the the image, it's just a still image, and then there's music. The still image is Cynthia with Sephiroth's one wing and sword, and it has one winged angel played with the Pokemon Diamond Pearl Platinum sound font.
That's awesome.
And then another identical video, but it is her theme played with the Final Fantasy VII sound font.
Her theme is sick.
Yeah.
It's like ding. That piano. Oh, it's crazy.
So that was cool.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, I gotta look those up.
Yeah. And I have just one last thing to cover on my end, and that is I am so tired of the statement that Bulbasaur is the easy mode starter because he's good against the first 3 gyms.
Okay.
To the point where I have decided to prove once and for all that Bulbasaur is not the easiest starter.
Okay.
So this is how I'm doing it. I start up a new game of Pokemon Red, and I am using Sheen Poke Red,
Okay.
which should be harder technically because the AI is better,
Okay.
and there's a lot of bugs that won't work in my favor.
Right. Because there's a lot of favorable bugs.
Yeah.
In it. Yeah.
So I've already what I'm doing is I choose my starter. I use only the starter and HM slaves. Mm-hmm. I do not switch in battle. In fact, I just change it to set mode. Mm-hmm. I do not use any power ups like HP up or protein, any vitamins.
Yeah, okay.
Except PP up. I'm allowing myself to do that.
Sure.
But and no rare candies.
Mm-hmm. No performance enhancing drugs.
Yes,
okay.
exactly.
Gotcha.
And so I have already done this once with Charmander.
Okay.
I beat the entire game with Charmander.
Just with Charmander only.
Just Charmander alone. There were 2 difficult fights.
Okay.
Brock.
Of course. Yeah.
Which normally is not hard even with Charmander for me. But because his AI is smarter in Sheen Poke Red, he just wrecked me. So that took like 4 or 5 tries.
What level did you have to be Brock?
I was 15, right about to evolve to Charmeleon.
Yeah. So I mean, if you had grinded to Charmeleon, it would have been easy.
Oh yeah.
But
absolutely.
But yeah.
And I think honestly I won because of good damage rolls.
Oh yeah.
Mostly.
Luck has a big factor in it. Yeah. Between crits and damage rolls. Yeah.
The other thing is like I kind of wish I had like a program that could just play the game like thousands of times and give me like results of things, because I'd love to see what is the minimum level for Charmander to be to consistently beat Brock. I'd be interested to know that.
That'd be fun.
I bet it's probably around 15-ish.
Yeah. That would make a good YouTube video.
Yeah. So that was the only difficult fight before the Elite Four. Every other fight, including Misty, was a breeze. Was no trouble at all.
Okay.
She even Misty, just one shot her. No, okay, I didn't one shot, but I had no trouble. One attempt.
Wow. Sweet.
I was not hurting at the end, just because I was so over leveled by the time I got to her. But yeah. And then all the swimmer trainers between Fuchsia and Cinnabar, no problem. Also,
and this was not, you didn't even grind a lot, right?
No,
this was, you don't grind.
I didn't fight any wild Pokemon hardly at all, basically. And I did fight every trainer in the game.
Okay.
But yeah, one helpful tip if you're gonna do this, teach Charmander Dig. He can learn Dig, and Dig
that helps a lot.
Very broken.
And Dig is very strong.
Yes. So his final moveset by the time I got to the Elite Four was Flamethrower, Dig, Strength, and Cut.
Nice.
And so I got to the Elite Four. Lorelei took like 3 tries.
Yeah, sure.
And that was it. Everything else,
easy.
No problem. Even Rivals Blastoise, nothing. So I was like a level 83 or something.
Nice.
By then.
That's why you focus on one Pokemon.
That's right.
That's awesome.
So now I have more or less done this with Blastoise like a dozen times already, but I've never like done it this strictly before. So I am going to do it with Blastoise also. I'm currently in the middle of the Bulbasaur run, and I'm still pretty early into it. It is not going as well as the Charmander run, Bulbasaur. So I'm already seeing signs of Bulbasaur not being the strongest. I suspect the rival will continue to be the hardest, which is interesting. So normally the rival is a pushover to me in Pokemon Red and Blue. Just not difficult really at all. And I'm usually Squirtle. And with Charmander, I would almost argue that this Charmander run was easier than my normal runs, and my normal runs are very easy.
Wow.
Just nothing was a challenge at all except Brock.
The fact that you
and Lorelei
had one Pokemon.
Yeah. Also,
got all the levels.
my first attempt on the Elite Four, I had no potions.
Nice.
And I still
Just
made it
raw.
So
raw.
Let's see. The first attempt, I think I actually lost to Lorelei. Maybe I think so. The second attempt, I made it all the way to Lance with no potions.
Amazing. That's awesome.
But Lance finished me off when I didn't have potions.
Yeah.
So I came back with like 30 potions, and that was more than enough.
That's awesome. Now, when you say Lorelei, I think of Lorelei Gilmore.
Right.
I've been watching Gilmore Girls. Anyway, moving on.
For many years, if you said the name Lorelei, I only thought of
same.
the Elite Four.
The Lapras lady.
Yes.
But now, now I'm like, oh yeah, Lauren Graham's character.
Yeah. I'm like, that's not a real name. That's the name of a Pokemon character.
Yeah, no, that's Rory's mom.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I guess we'll hear next time how easy Bulbasaur was.
Yep.
And I mean, logically it makes sense because I mean it is strong against Brock and Misty and so on. But
also, I have beaten Misty on that one, and she was a pushover. So was Brock.
But
those were not the hard fights.
I'm gonna guess you didn't one-shot Starmie.
No, I did not.
I didn't think so.
Nope.
You did. So even with Bulbasaur, you didn't one-shot Starmie.
No.
So, I mean, it sounds sort of the same to me as doing it with Charmander.
Yeah, honestly.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I was a higher level because
does he level up faster?
No, but what happened is what I normally do is when it comes to Misty is I blow through everybody on Nugget Bridge and up to Bill before I even attempt Misty.
Same, yeah.
But because I had Bulbasaur, I went straight to Misty.
Oh, gotcha.
So in this case, but with Charmeleon, I'm like, I'm going to give myself every advantage I can.
Understandable.
That's normally what I do when I do my classic Squirtle, Pikachu, Spearow trio, which is my normal team. And I usually go through Nugget Bridge and stuff before I fight her.
Because, Pikachu needs to be like level 23 before it can easily beat Misty. So
because it needs to have the speed and special to take her down.
Starmie's Bubble Beam hits hard. Yeah.
Yeah, either that or I let Wartortle get up to 24 to have Bite.
Yeah, that works too. And even better in Fire and Leaf Green because it's Dark type and it's super effective against Starmie. But.
And also, a lot of people will say like if Bulbasaur's easier than Squirtle because of Surge. Well, guess what? Squirtle can learn Dig.
Can't hit you if it's dead. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's the thing about Dig is so many things can learn it too.
Yeah.
Anything that's like a small critter can learn Dig basically.
It's ridiculous. Yeah. And a shocking number of fire types can learn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like a little, gremlin dude and a little fox and a little dog.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense that they can dig a hole, like I guess. Yeah. That's funny.
It's funny because you can't get too thematic. You can't go too into what's
it depends
because that kind of totally breaks the balance of the game if you try to be too realistic about it.
Yeah, you can tell like the battle team at Game Freak who focuses on movesets and battles and stuff, is like multiple people.
Yeah.
Because some stuff seems really thematic and some doesn't at all.
Yeah.
So it's like there were probably different people who came up with these these two things, you know?
Especially given the lifespan of these games. I'm sure they've had plenty of different people involved.
Yeah, so much turnover at this point.
Yeah. Because like I was thinking about like how rock type moves are so low accuracy. And I think that's because you're throwing something. And when you throw something, that's naturally more of a skill thing. It takes skill to throw something and hit something with the thing you're throwing versus just breathing fire at something.
A long blast of fire is pretty widespread and is probably going to hit your target.
But like if you go too far with that, then like almost all like so many moves suddenly become subject to that, and is like, well, some of these moves have 100% accuracy, but you're throwing something. So
really.
You can't necessarily use that as your point of logic for how to determine that.
And then if you throw the anime into it, that messes up everything.
Yeah.
Because there's tons of moves that they use in the anime. Just from very little stuff I've seen. I've already seen this a lot.
Yeah.
Where like they'll use a move that has 100% accuracy in the game, but the other Pokemon just like dodges it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they don't have plus evasion. Like what? Like, that's not a thing. That's supposed to hit no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah. So, you know, it's all a bit up in the air, in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, I looked at all the moves and I looked at like which ones have low accuracy to determine like what rules would I use to determine when to reduce the accuracy of a move. And that is like, so high power moves, like 100+ power, often have lower accuracy. That makes sense.
Yeah.
The more powerful it is.
Or if they don't, they have some other like deficiency, like some negative effect of some sort.
So like Earthquake is like one of the strongest moves that doesn't have any downsides.
It's one of the best moves.
It's 100%
in the
accuracy,
game
100 power,
yeah.
no downsides whatsoever.
Zero downsides. Even has like 15 PP or something. Like it even has decent PP. Like there's just no downside at all. Yeah.
And then like Fire Blast and Blizzard both
70%, I believe.
Fire Blast is 85%
now or back then?
in Gen 1
Gen
accuracy.
1. And wasn't Blizzard like 90?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Now they're like 70%.
Yeah.
They've gone down a lot. Yeah.
And even Hydro Pump was like 80, whereas Thunder has like 70.
Yeah.
Like these all have the same amount of power.
They should all have the same accuracy, which they
yeah.
do now, I think.
Yeah.
All have 70% accuracy. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I love about future generations and those moves is the weather effects.
Yeah.
How if it's hailing, Blizzard has 100% accuracy.
Right.
In rain, Thunder has 100% accuracy.
Yep.
I love stuff like that. I'm like, that's the kind of thematic stuff that
Yeah.
I think is really cool.
I actually really loved that in Gen 2 because that's Gen 2 introduced that.
Yeah.
The
Brilliant,
raining
it's
making
great.
Thunder 100%
Yeah.
accuracy. So I like looked for any opportunities to exploit that.
Yeah, it's awesome. So in my White 2 playthrough, I had a Magnezone
Yeah.
who could learn Rain Dance.
Yeah.
So I would Rain Dance, Magnet Rise to give me Levitate, and then Thunder, 100% accuracy.
Yeah.
And I was just it would just sweep everything because his special attack is absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was so sick. Yeah, that was my man. Good times, good times. Well, it's great too because Magnezone's steel, so he's weak to fire. But in rain, fire's attack is halved.
Yeah.
So that would even give me a boost in that way.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I'd
good.
also love to do things like not have Thunder Wave have 100% accuracy
that's understandable.
because I hate stall tactics.
Well, that's pretty strong. Like
No, paralysis is
little too
one of
strong.
the worst possible things to happen to you in a Gen 1 fight.
well, because I mean, of course, there's the sometimes being completely immobilized, but it's the fact that your speed is cut in half,
Yeah.
basically.
Cut by 75% in Gen 1.
75%, yeah. I mean,
Later
that
gens,
could be,
it's only 50%, but
Okay.
yeah, in Gen
Still.
1, yeah.
it's substantial even at 50, so.
And it's so like I actually looked up some stuff about the Gen 1 competitive meta back when it was actually popular. Just because I wanted to understand like what was the basic strategy. And it's not way different than now. There's still like you have a wall, you have Pokemon that come into whose basically sole purpose is to come in and use status effects,
Set up, basically,
and set up.
Light screen, stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and you've got your sweepers and stuff. So like apparently Tauros was a major sweeper.
Tauros is busted in Gen 1.
And then of course Chansey is a special wall.
Makes sense.
And Snorlax also.
Could Chansey heal soft boiled? Was
Yeah.
that so? Like that's one of the only Pokemon in
that
the
can
whole
heal
game
in battle,
that can
yeah,
heal.
because obviously in competitive you don't have items.
Yeah,
And
because
so
there's tons of them now, like Recover and all
Yeah.
these moves and stuff. But
yeah,
that was
the
rare in
only
Gen
way
1.
to get rid of paralysis in a competitive fight is rest.
Oh, okay. Rest can get rid of it. That's interesting.
Yep.
So Snorlax is probably good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
because he's pretty thick too.
So
Decent wide
although
moveset.
there's
too.
no Chesto Berry, so you can't just wake up immediately after. So you
Yeah.
could be submitting yourself to like up to 7 turns of sleep.
As a Snorlax, you want a Loomberry or something for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, of course, there wasn't any of that in Gen
Yeah.
1, so that was interesting.
That is the thing about Gen 1 competitive is that it's way simpler.
Yeah.
No held items, no abilities.
Right.
Like,
And there's
much easier.
something to that I really like.
yeah, I like
I just
simplicity.
love the straightforwardness.
yeah, now to be a competitive in Pokemon, you need to study it in school.
Yeah,
There's so much to it now.
basically.
It's a bit absurd.
And-
a lot of my favorite RPGs in general are the simpler ones.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, like we love Paper Mario, and that is
yeah. It's almost as
dead
simple as an RPG gets.
Yeah.
Speaking of, I've been playing Mario RPG,
Yeah.
the new remake.
Oh, you got it.
I got it.
Cool.
So last 2 days ago, Saturday, I called them in the morning when they opened
Yeah.
our retro store because I had credit there, so I could get it for free, basically, and they were like, "We're probably getting it in today, but we don't know when." So I called at like 5-ish, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we got it." And I was like, "Oh, I was not expecting you to say that." I just assumed you wouldn't have it. So yeah, I went and picked it up. So yeah,
Cool.
it's pretty sweet.
So how is it? Like, is the look and feel the same, or is it totally
It is so new.
okay?
It's but all in a good way.
Okay.
So I mean, it's still got the framing of the original, right?
Okay.
So like, and the characters move in the same way, but it's so updated that it feels new.
Yeah.
That it feels different. Action Command is very intuitive, very makes perfect sense. There's a new like gauge system,
Okay.
and combos are a thing now. So if you do a successful action command in succession,
Yeah.
that'll get your combo up and will fill your gauge faster. And when the gauge is full, you can do like a special of some sort, a special
Yeah.
move. And so that's really cool. And I just beat the first big boss, like the pogo stick sword dude. I always forget his name. So I got the first star thing.
Yeah.
Not a star spirit,
Right.
just a star. The first blue star. So I'm not super far into it, but I've got Mallow now, and yeah, we're headed off. Yeah, it's the same game but completely different, basically,
Yeah.
which I like a lot. I mean, just from what I've read online, people are like, "This is the best remake of any game there's ever been." Like, this is exactly how to make a remake, basically.
Yeah.
Colors are like super vibrant, which I love. It makes it much more pleasant to play. That's what it is. It's just pleasant
Yeah.
in comparison to the old one. I feel like with a lot of old games like that, they feel a little clunky, and like nostalgia is what makes you love it.
Yeah.
You know? Whereas this, it's like, oh, if you like RPGs, anyone could pick this up and enjoy it probably.
Yeah.
So yeah, very, very pleased with it. Very excited to.
That's all I needed to
through
hear to want to get it myself.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it literally is the precursor to Paper Mario. Like Paper Mario is just Mario RPG 2, basically.
Yeah.
With a new aesthetic. And so, yeah, I'm super into it. But it's got a lot more of like the Final Fantasy aspects to it.
Right.
Like it's got equipment, armor you put on, and
Like you can really
things
tell
like
that Square was involved
Yes.
in the original.
And did you know that they were heavily involved in this remake?
Oh, that's cool.
The character director, the director of character design, I believe, was Tetsuya Nomura.
Yeah.
Like of this
Oh,
remake.
wow.
Like Square Enix was heavily involved still, which I think is super cool. I guess that makes sense because like Gino specifically is a Square Enix property. Like
Yeah.
I think they own that character. So that makes sense. But yeah. So I was sad that this wasn't called like Super Mario RPG 1.2/8 remake, remaster,
Final mix.
final mix. That would have been cooler, but what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Yeah, so super cool. Also, real quick before we end, I was looking at all the time in our game room. I see my Game Boy Micro that you got me for my birthday, just sitting there, and I'm just like, I gotta get more Game Boy Advance games,
Yeah.
just so I could play this thing more, just because it's so cool, so little. Because I don't have a huge library of GBA games,
Yeah.
and so I was thinking about that and looked up some games, and I'm gonna watch more videos on GBA games. But like, there's a lot I've played that I've liked, but there's a lot that I've heard of and always like wanted to play, and like I'm curious of. So I definitely want to expand my GBA library.
Yeah.
And so actually, while I was at Retro, I looked at what they had. They had a decent selection. Unfortunately, GBA games are kind of expensive
Yeah.
because they still hold up, kind of. So like they're 40 plus usually for the
Yeah.
decent ones. And then of course there's Pokemon, which are like 150
Yeah.
or something. I think Fire Red is like 150 now.
Yeah, wow.
So stupid. But Ruby and Sapphire actually aren't bad. They're still only like $80.
Yeah.
Whereas Emerald's like
Yeah.
over 200.
Yeah. Just get a repro
So
Emerald.
stupid. So I have a repro Emerald.
Oh yeah.
And I have a repro of Metroid Zero Mission, which is a really stylized remake of the original NES Metroid,
Right.
which is really cool.
Okay.
And so I have that. So I definitely want to play that.
That's the one with like the
But-
pink and blue Samus,
That's
right?
Fusion,
Oh, that's Fusion.
which is also GBA. So
okay.
I do want that one also. Yeah, it's like the two best Metroid games ever are on the Game Boy Advance. So yeah, I definitely want those. But what I did get at Retro was Mario versus Donkey Kong
Nice.
for the Game Boy Advance, which I had as a kid. I played it on my SP all the time, and it's almost like a puzzle game more than a platformer.
Okay, yeah.
Actually what it is it's like the Mario and Wario,
Yeah.
which was a Japan only, I think, game. Actually, I think it was in Japan and Europe and not America.
Huh.
You remember in Smash Melee, the trophy that was like a bucket with the M on it? It was like the Mario bucket. Okay, maybe not. Anyway,
I don't remember.
That was
but
the thing.
If I saw it, I'd
Mario and
probably
Wario
would.
was basically a puzzle game where Wario knocked a bucket onto Mario's head,
Okay.
and so he couldn't see, and so you had to direct him through levels through like these puzzles. Really stupid.
Yeah.
In this, it's like Donkey Kong stole these little toys, and Mario has to go, fight him or whatever. Anyway, it's mostly like platforms and switches to get a key to unlock a door to move on to the next screen, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Super fun puzzles though. Very reminiscent of like even original Donkey Kong stuff.
Yeah.
But like graphically really impressive for the GBA, which is really nice. It's like semi 3D graphics and a lot of voice acting by Charles Martinet.
Oh.
Like Mario has a lot of lines. He's like, "What are you doing? Come back here! Hey, what are you doing?" Like he says full sentences. It's very weird.
Wow.
I saw somebody talking about this game, and they said it was like they couldn't shake the feeling that it felt like a bootleg Mario game.
Uh-huh.
And I kind of get what they're saying.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same way of like Mario Hotel,
Uh-huh.
that kind of thing. but I personally really enjoy it. So they're actually doing a remake on the Switch soon of that also.
Yeah,
But
it's easy. It's almost easy for me to forget about the Game Boy Advance
Yeah.
as a console with its own huge library,
massive
independent of
library.
any other console.
Yeah, it really does.
Like, it's a console that Nintendo genuinely took seriously and not
Serious.
something that was just a side project or whatever.
Very true. Other than that, I also ordered off eBay. I got Golden Sun.
Yeah. Okay. So I almost
That's what I got.
said that because like some friends of ours had loved and played that game all
I've
the time.
heard such good things from RPG fans, and I think it's very reminiscent of good RPGs,
Yeah.
like Earthbound and other ones like that. And so I got it. I'm just like, I'm gonna go for it. Get the
Have
original.
you played any Fire Emblem games?
I have not. And
I think there's at least one good one on Game Boy Advance.
the first that ever came to America
Yeah.
is on the GBA. It's just called Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
And it was they brought over that one specifically because it has Marth and Roy in it, and people knew them because of Melee in America. So, which was very smart on their part. So that's another one I might consider trying, just to try Fire Emblem because I've really never touched the series. So I know it's basically it's a tactical game.
Right.
So, you're battling on squares and like moving stuff and things like that. Another one that's a tactical is called Advance Wars. Super popular GBA title. It's like very cartoonish war. So you have like tanks and stuff you're battling with.
So I think
You think?
I
know.
sometimes,
You can do it.
Valkyrie Profile 2.
Valkyrie Profile?
Well,
Yeah.
and 1 obviously, but
PS2
as well.
Not GBA.
I believe that's basically a tactics game
Okay.
of sorts.
It might be. I don't
It
Oh,
'cause-
Final Fantasy Tactics is on GBA too.
yeah, because like when I hear you describing like how Fire Emblem plays, and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, oh, actually, I think the closest game I've played to that kind of thing is Valkyrie Profile.
Okay.
Because I've always thought of it as an RPG, but really, I think it's more of a tactic game, kind of.
Yeah. Which tactical RPG is a thing. But yeah.
So it's
See, that's a genre I haven't touched much.
Yeah.
And the GBA is a really good place for it.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I'll try.
because
For
like
sure.
you have multiple characters, and each one is just you don't select from a move pool necessarily. You press one button,
Okay.
and each character is assigned to a button, and so like
that's cool.
you hit like 3 buttons, and then they all 3
Do-do-do.
attack.
Okay.
And like movement like matters, like their positioning.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. I think to me, a game like Fire Emblem is really stressful
Yeah.
because of how much your movements matter, and because there's permadeath in Fire Emblem.
Oh yeah.
So like, if you're playing with characters that have dialogue and like lore and stuff, and if they permadie, they die in the story. Like
Yeah.
you've altered the story, which is really cool as a concept and terrifying to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So we'll see. The other thing I'm looking at is they have cartridges of ROM hacks, basically, of Mother 3
Oh yeah.
with the English translation on it. And so I might pick that up as well, so I can try out Mother 3, because I love Earthbound, but I've never played Mother 3. So
Yeah.
it's a really good RPG console, turns
Yeah.
out. So I'll get back to you on Golden Sun, see how I like that. I got a pretty sweet deal on it. That's usually at least $55 for just the cartridge in okay condition, basically. Like, they're pretty expensive. But I got I got one where the label's just a little messed up, but not too bad. And it was only like 32, so
Yeah.
that was much better. But yeah, because there's a sequel on the GBA also, so
Cool.
we'll see if that's any good. So yeah, I'm trying to play other things than just Pokemon
Yeah.
because I don't want to get too burned out on Pokemon.
Yeah. See, I was in a slump of not knowing what to play for a bit there, and
Yeah.
the default when I don't know what to play is just more Pokemon.
I guess I'll boot up Pokemon.
There's almost always something that I would like to be like, okay, what if I do this?
Something to try or yeah.
Which again, I need that like bot that can just play the game thousands
That'd
of
be really
times on
sweet.
repeat, so I can just get answers to questions.
Yeah. It's only about 2 weeks away from Indigo Disc DLC coming out.
Cool, good.
That's on December 14th, so that will be very fun, I think. Very, very cool. Gonna have a lot of... We get to catch all the starters, which will be awesome.
Yeah,
Every starter in the wild, I love that idea, so we'll definitely be holding out for some shinies. Yeah, of course. Okay, I guess that's a podcast, huh?
yep.
All right. I guess we're going to go to bed. So
Yeah,
thank you all for listening to the Brothers Game Podcast. If you liked it and you're listening on YouTube, why don't you hit the like button and subscribe and hit the bell and all that good stuff. Leave us a comment. Tell us some of your favorite Game Boy Advance games or why we're stupid and have bad opinions. Either one works. And if you're listening on Spotify or the other podcast platforms, download so we can see that you're listening. That'd be awesome.
that'd be great.
What else can they do, Brian? You can follow us on Twitter or X at the Brothers G Pod. Keep up to date with everything we're doing. I post hot takes on there all the time, all kinds of good stuff. That's about it. Thanks for listening, all you brother G's out there.
That's right. Good night, everybody.
Just kidding. We're the Brothers G.